Hello Millwall fans, Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Good evening and welcome, Millwall fans, wherever you might be watching in the country, in the world, whatever time of day. Welcome to another Chat with Chaps Live midweek special. Obviously, after the really gut-wrenching result on Saturday, we are going to try and cheer up your week by dissecting that, but also looking forward and try and, desperate as it might be, difficult as it might be, bring a bit of positivity to the life of a Millwall fan right now. But before I introduce my co-host, can I first and foremost say, look, if any of you are new to the show, please like and subscribe, particularly subscribe. It all goes towards our algorithms, which helps us with our charity money raising for cancer research charity. Everything we do goes to cancer research, so please like and subscribe throughout the show. We really appreciate that. And I would like to thank our sponsors, Spectrum VR, who made a very handsome donation to the channel. All of the donation went to the Cancer Research Fund, which is fantastic news, so we thank them for that and welcome that partnership ongoing throughout the season. So without further ado, let me introduce my co-hosts for the evening. And first and foremost, after a week of practicing, you'll be really pleased to know that down below me, he's back again, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't scare him off last week by pronouncing his name incorrectly. It is the one and only Danish destroyer, Mr. Jesper Damsgaard.
It's funny, you know. Do you know the amount of phone calls I had when I lived in the UK when I had to call the bank? I had to call offices. Everyone insisted on putting an S on my surname, as in Damsgaard. It doesn't exist. It's an exercise for a lot of UK people to just say "damn God," period. There you go. But thanks, Disco, for having me on. It's always a good pleasure. I mean, apart from the result, obviously, which we're going to dig into a bit later, you know, thanks for having me on again. Should be an interesting one, putting a bit of perspective on the games we've played and what's coming up. So yeah, all good. But yes, a little exercise for you.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, just a little exercise for you in learning to pronounce my name correctly.
It's my challenge for the rest of the season to absolutely get your pronunciation. Damsgaard.
You'll get yes.
Yeah. It's Damsgaard. So that's all I have to think is that it's that Damsgaard. But Jesper, great to have you on, mate. I know particularly we all were, but you were particularly hugely frustrated on Saturday. So I want to take you through some therapy tonight and help you get it out of your system if it's not already done so. So we'll do that. Also, joining me, I think I'm right in saying, to my right is, back by popular demand, the one and only Mr. Stephen Stato. I haven't got the music, I'm afraid, so I have to introduce you like that, Stato. Welcome.
No, that's absolutely fine. I just want to touch on Steve and Jesper just before we crack on the charity thing. I don't know how many of our listeners would know about this, but the channel received a very, very generous donation yesterday. We were invited on a call by Chris to go through it. If you haven't seen it on the Chat with Chaps Cancer Research page, we were given by an anonymous company. We don't know who they are, and we genuinely don't know who they are, but they love what we do. They love the demographics that we sort of target and speak to, and they donated £9,771 to our cause, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's taken the total raised by the channel, including gift aid, to over £35,000. So, okay, that's a large sum of money, but the listeners, every one of you, have contributed to that in some way, shape, or form. And sticking with the theme of charity, I, from a personal point of view, would like to say thank you to some of our listeners. I have tried to message each of them individually for donating to my own charitable cause. Obviously, that's been added to the Chat with Chaps fund at the end of May. I am including gift aid at around £1,500 for my running in April. So to the listeners that have donated, I have tried to reach out to all of you. Some people I haven't got contact details for, but thank you very much for the support. But I wanted to get that in there, Steve, because whilst it's all doom and gloom with Blackburn and referees and red cards, the work that we're doing and that's being recognised is phenomenal, and we appreciate all the support that we're getting at the moment. So thank you very much.
I think it's important, Stephen, also to mention that there was only one condition from that anonymous company, and that was that we didn't show Joe's goal ever again on a live stream. That was the only condition in order to receive the donation. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. So basically, listeners, you cannot ever ask again to see Joe's goal at the Den. It's banned, it's vetoed. That's it. It's out the window.
Listen, and that's going to be really tough for us. But look, we're prepared to take that pain for charitable cause. So look, on behalf of us, we will do that. But Stato, welcome, mate. Great words. Thank you for sharing that. Most definitely, and more of that during the course of the night. Now, guys, you're looking on and thinking, oh, only 3 tonight. Well, no, it isn't only 3. We're going to introduce someone very special for you now. He's getting all excited backstage. So here he comes with a big intro. It's the one and only face that runs the place, Mr. Ben Green.
Evening, fellas. Fashionably late is what I'm calling it.
I would say you tart, Rodney, but I suppose is it appropriate? I'm not sure.
How are we? We're all right?
Good.
We're all right, Ben. We're doing our best to put a brave face on things. I think look, they say time's a great healer, don't they? And I know we're all really deep down hurting, but look, tonight can be a bit of therapy for us, and we can hopefully all get it off our chests and move on and look forward positively to the big game on Saturday. So welcome, Ben. Great to have you on, mate, as well as the other 2 guys. As you will have all noticed, Joe's not with us tonight. He can't make it again. He's still training for his next big football match. But I'm sure he'll tell us all about that when he next comes on. What I'm going to quickly say hello to all our listeners. I'm going to try and do this really quickly. So bear with me, but here we go. So, Alex, evening. Welcome to the show. Big E, great supporter of the show. Nice to see you, Big E. Carl Bracey, great to see you as always, Carl. Anthony, welcome. Thanks for coming on tonight. Oops, I've just gone past a couple. Good evening, Jeff Chandler, big friend of the show as well. John, absolutely immense. Thank you, mate. That is so much appreciated. In difficult times, for you to continue to donate is really, really appreciated. Big E, I'm going to just whiz through so that we get all the hellos in. Lewis, good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming on. Ellie, lovely to have you on board. Thank you. Mark Lindsay, great to see you. Thank you for coming on. Jeff, my old mate from Wigan. Welcome, Jeff. He's got a conspiracy theory that he'll tell us about later. No, he hasn't calmed down. That's Cristiano, welcome. Monica, welcome. That's Mummy Jones, yes?
That is Mummy Jones.
Hello, Mummy Jones. Welcome. Evening all. And a shit ref. Yes, Dave. I think we might have a chat about that later. Max Anthony, welcome. Good to see you. Dave Turner, Born Free, Die Free. Good to see you. Ozcan, not seen you for a while, Ozcan. Welcome back, mate. Sorry if I've missed your notes. Andrew Cahill, welcome. Lions Roar, I think he's a fellow Northern boy. So welcome, Lions Roar. Nice to see you. Hughesy, good evening. Chris Brown, good to see you, Chris. Thanks for coming on. Connor Punk, great to see you, mate. Thanks for coming on. Wall Lion, evening to you. Thanks, Ozcam. We've had Flacky, thanks for coming on, mate. John Parr, welcome. Great to see you. We've done that. You're all giving me double messages, which Evening, chaps. Andy Roberts. Welcome, Andy. Woo! I think
I
we're
tell you
there,
what.
guys.
I tell you what. A few weeks ago, we were timing the intro and trying to get it down to about 43 seconds. We're now 10 minutes in, and we've just finished.
Thank you for the feedback, Stephen. That's much appreciated. This is amateur hour. This is like Pass the Mic podcasting. So,
can I comment on that, Disco, on St. Paddy's Day? Can I just say it really gets my goat up if you're English and if you're English and you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. just say it. It really gets my goat up.
On a positive thing.
That is a positive. That is a positive. It gets my goat up.
Not to totally disagree. I'm not sure I totally 100% agree with that. It does piss me off when people celebrate St. Paddy's Day but don't celebrate St. George's Day, which is hugely frustrating. As a country, we totally call that, don't we? As I'm sure we'd all agree. That's probably a show in itself one week that we could do, most definitely.
Just thought I'd get that out there on a positive note just to start.
Good on you, mate. Welcome back. Get it out, mate. This is your night. It's all about getting it out of your system tonight. So, guys, we've got a lot to go through tonight. In a nutshell, we're going to go through. We're going to look back to Saturday. Obviously, there's a few talking points from Saturday, I think, that we might dissect. We're going to have a little, obviously, intersperse that with various updates on all the charitable events that we're doing, and particularly the charity day that we've got coming up for the Norwich game at home. Important to share with you that. We're going to talk about the injury situation that we've currently got and what the impact that's having on the team and likelihoods of returns, etc. And we're also then going to just mention on a little bit of bad news, some online hate and racism that poor old Zach Sturge has had to endure this week. So we'll have a little comment on that, and then we'll look forward to, as I've already mentioned, the really big game on Saturday, which is huge for us and huge for them. So we'll look forward to that. So straight in, I'm going to look back to Saturday. 2 minutes to 3. The teams are running out onto the pitch, and we all know that Middlesbrough have drawn at home to Bristol City. Bristol City and their lovely manager have done us a favour and got a last-minute equaliser at Middlesbrough. And we're a point behind Borough, thinking, Jesus, win today and we go into second spot. And I think Coventry had lost at that point as well, hadn't they? Yeah, Coventry had lost. So they would have only been but 6 points ahead of us as well. So you think, oh, my God, are the stars aligning? And then we run out onto the pitch. The ref blows the whistle. And from what I can say, I'm going to lead into you guys, but the first half, a pretty turgid performance from our dear football team. So let's kick off with you, Jesper. What was your sort of overview of that first half? What happened in that first half for Millwall?
Well, nothing happened, didn't it? We came out with an XG of 0.000 shots on target. Very nervy, very edgy. And listen, the last 8 games of the season, we have to face it. We're in a promotion race now. We are under a completely different kind of pressure than what we've been for a long, long time. We can't just hide by the fact that we're underdogs anymore, because we are in the top 4. We are challenging for direct promotion now. But listen, we're coming to that stage of the season now where things are getting decided. We have to, promotion is going to get decided, etc. So these games will happen. And as you said, Coventry lost. Okay, they played Southampton, which is a good team. Middlesbrough lost points against Bristol City after losing at home to Charlton in the midweek as well. Hull went to West Brom and lost 3-0. So listen, we're not the only ones suffering this weekend, but I guess the manner of the result, how it all panned out in the end, and we will talk about that later on again. I think that was sort of the pain that we all felt, that, it was just 2 quick goals out of nothing. We felt a red card that shouldn't have been a red, in my opinion. We'll dive into that as well. And then I reckon maybe a penalty that should have been given. So small decision going against us, but at the end it cost us the game. But what I will say is that if you look at it overall, maybe the last 3 games has not warranted more than 6 points, if even 6 points. We've been lucky against Hull. We were quite lucky against Derby as well, and we didn't turn out first half against Blackburn. So I said it last week when I was on again, or when I was on. We need to put in better performances. The last 8 games, and the results will come. But if we don't, I'm still quite confident we'll end up in playoffs. But I'm still saying we need better performances, and then the wins will follow. But the performance on Saturday wasn't good, and first half particularly was really, really timid and nervy, I would say.
Yeah. Thanks, Jesper. Yeah, I think really interesting. Probably only deserved 6 points from those 3 performances. That's probably a very, very fair assessment. Listen, could have easily been 9. But yeah, probably a fair point. Ben, if I can shift round to you, talking about the first half specifically, why do you think we just didn't really seem to react to the opportunity to get in second spot?
Because we played Blackburn, mate, and that's just what we do against Blackburn, isn't it? Yeah, listen, I can't answer that. I think if we could, mate, then there would have been no doubt they'd have been talking about it going out onto the pitch, right? Or there would have been no mention of it. There would have been a big mention of it from Alex Neil, the staff. They would have known the opportunity, right? The players would have seen it, seen the results prior. So to come out and to not have a single shot, let alone shot on target, to create 0.0 XG. I know some people don't believe in XG, but still an indicator in terms of opportunities. Yeah, really can't answer it, mate. It's not very often this season that we've sort of said, "Oh, we'll." It's just typical Millwall, because we haven't done that really, have we at all? When an opportunity has arisen, we've taken it really this season. So yeah, mate, I can't answer why we didn't perform, apart from the fact that fucking Blackburn are just the biggest bogey team ever.
Unbelievable.
Now.
Unbelievable.
I was actually
Ben, sorry to interrupt you, mate. I'm going to do a Joe now, and I'm going to come in on you. But can I ask you? And I hate that when people say, "Can I ask you?" I'm bloody asking. You're going
to ask me anyway. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you exactly. I hate that word when people say, "Can I just ask?" No, you fucking can't. You already are asking. Anyway, sorry. So that point, what was he saying? Did you hear the rumor that Alex Neil banned the game, the Borough game, being played at the Den, as if he didn't want anybody to know? Do you reckon that's true? And
Turner's literally just said that in the chat, mate. So you must be reading his mind. Listen, he might have done, but in the world that we live in today, in 2026, there is zero chance that the players didn't know, or a player didn't find out from somewhere and it got round the squad. I struggle to believe that. Alex Neil might have wanted to try and keep it under wraps, but at this stage of the season, Disco, I don't see how you wouldn't use that as motivation. The opportunity's there. We've got a home game against a struggling side. Go and grab that second position by winning today. There's your team talk. So we don't know whether it's true or not. I would find it surprising that you wouldn't use it as motivation to go and spur the lads on. But yeah, if it is true, I still don't believe that the players wouldn't have known the result.
I have to say, I'm with you. Look, look, first and foremost, love that. Don't be negative. Use it as a positive. First and foremost, it's about glass half full rather than glass half empty, which I think Alex is. But I think you're kidding yourself if you think people aren't going to bloody find out and get the vibe from the fans, etc. So it sort of makes me feel, was that really true? Like, I don't really get that. Stephen, can we come to you? What do you think on that point, first and foremost?
I was just going to say, I'm just having a look at a stat in the background to try and find the last time that we played a half of football where we didn't have a single shot. So bear with me. I'm doing some research. Sorry, Jones, I'm not sticking.
No, listen, great point.
That's point. Mike actually sits in front of me. So I know him very well. And thank you for your donation, Mike, by the way. I really appreciate it. He's bang on. Blackburn were not good. I'm not going to say that they were. I'm not going as far as say they played really, really well. But they played us at a game that we have been trying to do to opposition in certain games. They pressed us. They stopped us from playing. Their forwards were on Cooper, on Crammer, on Patterson so early that we just didn't really know how to cope with. We just didn't know how to cope with the press. It's almost as if they'd pressed the button on us that what we'd done to teams. You think about, Birmingham, we pressed and pressed and pressed and got ourselves up the pitch. Blackburn did it to us without maybe the success of scoring a goal or really punishing us, but we just struggled to cope with it. And I think going back to your at 2 minutes to 3, not only did the players run out of the pitch, but maybe at 4 minutes to 3, the phone went in the referee's office to say Middlesbrough have dropped points. So if you can make sure that they don't win today, that'll be very, very appreciated, because obviously not in the first half, but obviously we'll get to that. And I just think you could tell there was comments around me in the ground saying there's no noise, there was no atmosphere, there was nothing was going on. And I get that the players have to bring the fans in and the fans, get on side with the players, but it was almost as if the entire ground was on absolute nervous wrecks every time Blackburn went forward, because they knew the opportunity that we had to kind of get into second place. That's how it felt. And you went in at half time and you kind of thought, well, they haven't scored, as in Blackburn, so we can't be much worse. But it just, that the whole day just felt as if it was marred by nerves and a fearfulness that we couldn't, it was Blackburn and that we wasn't going to do anything. And it was just summed up by the way that we handled their press, in my opinion.
There's a really good point. And it's quite interesting. We didn't press them, did we, at all? It was very noticeable. And yet we played Langstaff, which was a strange situation, didn't you think?
I understand to an extent why Macaulay Langstaff had come in. And again, I'm probably going to get pelters for this, perhaps, that I actually thought, and we'll come on to second half properly, but I thought Ivanovic and Coburn looked okay together when they were on the pitch in the second half. Like, look, we all know what happened, but they looked okay. They looked good in previous games as well. And I just felt that, especially, I know Alex Neil made a comment, didn't he? What's happened in the past and bogey teams and all that. He wasn't particularly interested, but surely you go with your big two, you get on the front foot, and that first 20 minutes would have been an opportunity to do that. And we just obviously, he made the decision to go with Langstaff. And I think Langstaff spent more of the first half slipping over than actually contributing anything on the ball. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, well, it was a disappointing, certainly, and a bit of a strange one. Just before we go on to you, Jesper, look, Aldo, saludos de sede, who's saying that? Calician. I can't even say Jesper's name, let alone that. So thank you, Aldo. Very much appreciated, and lovely to have you back on board this week. So thanks very much. So, Jesper, look, we a bit of a damp squib the first half, didn't quite work. How do you think the Barry Bannon situation is shaping up, playing alongside Billy in midfield?
I don't think it's without problems, but what I will say, and I think we touched on it, me and Chris also, when we did the Tommy Watson and Anthony Patterson signing video, was that, when you got new players, it takes time to integrate them. And I don't think we're trying to shoe fit Barry Bannon in. Right now, it's just, I wouldn't even say it's not working, but we're not really benefiting from his ability right now. I think he did all right, but he's not, I don't even know what people are expecting. He's a very good player, but I think, supporters, they have different opinions about what he will bring to the team and how much he will actually bring to our side. So I think he did all right. But maybe we're just expecting more magic from him. I don't know. But obviously right now he's doing all right, but he's probably not making the difference as many supporters might have hoped for, is my sort of conclusion so far. But I don't think he was the reason why we didn't play well in the first half. I think the press from the front in the first half wasn't good enough. We looked leggy, we looked tired, we looked nervy. And that was sort of all around the pitch. And as Stephen said, they came at us and we didn't really deal with it. And before we go into the ref, I will say also it took almost an hour before Josh Coburn was awarded his first free kick. He was manhandled first half. I don't know if he went out to change his shirt. We probably should have. It was ridiculous. I think in modern day football now, the things that central defenders can get away with in terms of pulling and manhandling a striker is becoming a little bit ridiculous. The same way that keepers are protected in modern day football. I think that the balance is not right anymore. And I'm not just saying that because it's just, we see it every week in modern day football, how strikers, they don't not given anything, and then defenders are allowed to basically just foul them every time, and nothing is being given. But regarding Barry Bannon, I think he's doing all right. I don't think we're trying to shoehorn him in the side, but again, I don't know, has probably not made the difference that we hoped for, I assume. So I guess that's what I can say so far about him.
I'd agree, certainly Saturday. Ben, any thoughts on Bannon's situation?
Yeah, I've got, quite a few thoughts at the minute on Barry Bannon. It just doesn't seem to be working, mate, does it, in the minute? We don't seem to be able to find a way to make Barry Bannon really effective. I thought he was excellent the other night against Derby. We keep talking about horses for courses, him coming in when we're going to have more of the ball, when we're going to or when we typically struggle to break teams down, all that sort of thing. He didn't play against Hull and Preston because they weren't those sorts of games. And I'm just struggling with it a bit at the minute, mate. I certainly don't think it's from a lack of effort or trying from his part.
No.
Is it we're just not used to his way of playing in terms of you saw his capabilities against Derby in terms of getting the ball deep, spraying it wide, looking for sort of diagonal runs. Are we just not used to his way of playing and he's not used to our way of playing? Is there an element of that? Possibly. He's clearly not a 10. We've experimented with that. I don't think that was ever going to be something that worked. So, yeah, a strange one, mate. I genuinely thought he would just come in and add a huge amount of quality into that midfield when we've got a lot of similar midfielders. So, yeah, I think we just got to try and find a way to make it work, to be honest, mate.
Did he just have an off day though, Ben, as well?
Yeah,
in the
possibly.
Whole team, especially that first half. You know, I think Chris put in his post-match. Did he 65% of successful passes?
Which I'd imagine that is unheard of for Barry Bannon. I'd imagine that is completely unheard of for him. And he's, as I said, we saw his quality or what glimpses of what he can do against Derby, mate. So yeah, I'd be. Listen, it didn't work for anyone, did it? It didn't work for anyone, certainly in that first half. So we can't necessarily pinpoint Bannon, but we do need to try and find a way of making it work because win, lose or draw, we've got another 12 months of him, right? Yeah. So whether he comes in and is even less of a bit part player next year, I'm sure he hasn't signed for us for that reason. So yeah, we just need to find a way to make Bannon effective in our system. And just on the stat that I mentioned before, the last game where we had 0 shots, does anyone want to have a guess?
Is it this season?
No.
It's under Gary Rowett.
It won't be Blackburn.
It is under Gary Rowett. It is against Blackburn again. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
Away.
March 2022 away, the infamous Gary Rowett 0-0 result. We had 0 shots in the whole game against Blackburn that day. So there you go.
Unbelievable. They are
that game.
Complete fucking bogey team. Get rid of them. Get them into League One. Whatever happens, I don't want to see them ever again.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because there's no rivalry. There's no like biggish.
There is now.
They have the hoodoo. Yeah. Fucking blow the place up, and it's only up the road from me. Can't stand. Unbelievable. I mean, that was gut wrenching, wasn't it? The infamous 4-3, but that Saturday as well was like. And I sadly, sorry, Stephen, I'll come to you. The link I had bloody Blackburn commentary as well. So I had them rattling on. They weren't too bad, in fairness. But what they were continually telling us was that the last time, which was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, it might have been the game, when they came back from a goal down in an away game, was guess what game? Against us. And I believe it's happened 3 times now. It's like unbelievable. There is something written in the stars, which is frustrating. But Stephen, hoodoos aside, what's your thoughts on Bannon? Off day, or is it not working? What's your view?
I'm going to be honest, and I'll answer the question, but I just get a little bit sick of talking about Barry Bannon, to be honest. And there's so many comments about him that all the talk is how do we get him in? What's his best position? Is it working? This, that, and the other. I feel like Barry Bannon is a very, very good player, and overall, when you see him on the pitch, he's organising the players. He's another leader out on the pitch. That's why he's been brought in. You can see him pointing, directing people where to be, what he wants them to do. He's another voice out on the pitch, and those kind of things. We lost a lot of that in the summer, and I think they realised that, and that's why when this deal was able to be materialised, that's why they decided to bring him in. The 65% passing completion, as Ben said, is completely unheard of. It's absolutely ridiculous for someone who's got his ability, but I think someone made a comment in the chat. Our success this year, and we've got to accept it. Our success has been give the ball to Femi and Tristan Crammer, let them link up, put the ball in the box, and away you go. That's been the success, and we just bypass sometimes Bannon. He doesn't even get a chance to play the ball, because all we're doing is we're looking for Femi all the time out on that right hand side. And I understand he's probably our best player technically, but we don't play the right way for him. I think the horses for courses comment is spot on. I don't think Preston would have been the right type of game to play him in. Hull, I was surprised considering we lost a centre mid in the warm up. Obviously, Ben and I were there and we sort of discussing that, but it's everything seems to revolve back to Barry Bannon. Do you know what I mean? It's always why in the group chat that we were talking about his signing, did it stop us signing other players? I just think that if you look at the game on Saturday, I know the ref had a big part to play in it, but was the issue Barry Bannon, or was it just a lack of cohesion, lack of being able to deal with the press? Not creating a chance in the first half. There's just a lot of factors that go into it. Personally, I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think he's someone that adds that leadership. Okay, we haven't seen the best of him apart from Derby, where again I agree with Ben. He was very, very good for 60 minutes. But I just think that there's a lot of focus on him where there's probably other areas that maybe we probably needed to be looking at personally.
Yeah, and just on that, Jonesy, I mean, yeah, like you said, he can't affect a game if the ball's not at his feet. If it's going over his head and it's going out wide, he can't affect games. And I think 100%. That's, like you said the word there, mate, cohesion. I think, and that was kind of the point I was trying to make and just didn't use that word. He needs to, the understanding of him and how we get the best out of him, I don't think we found that yet. I think that's from an Alex Neil perspective in terms of playing him in different positions, the 10, deeper, all that sort of thing. And I think it's from the players as well, understanding how they get the best out of Barry Bannon. And as I said, I think from Barry's perspective, Barry getting the most out of him in a Millwall team.
Yeah,
100%.
Spot on. Look, I'm with you, Stephen. I'm more good than bad with him. I know you don't keep talking about him, but probably a good point to just get the listeners involved. We'll say, look, Bannon, good or not bad, but let's change it. Bannon starts on Saturday or not starts on Saturday. So start is 1, doesn't start is a 2. Yeah, just in terms of to cheese Stephen off and talk a bit more about Barry Bannon. But look, Barry Bannon was not the reason we didn't win on Saturday. That's a really good point there from Millwall Holdings. You forget that. They even bloody beat us when we got promoted, even though we were half pissed, the whole team, as well as all the fans. But they beat us that day. Although the shining light there was it stopped Palace from getting in the playoffs, which was funny. And that was the day of my wedding, actually. So there's another interesting stat for you. So let's move on. Crikey, we've done the first half. Let's get on to the second half. Jesper, we'll start with you. And
do we have to?
Yeah. Well, let's. What did we think? What did we think of the changes? The change in formation, and then let's talk through the key incidents of the second half.
I think it was key that we made the changes so early, and it was nice to see that we didn't wait around for the hour mark to make some changes. That was quite refreshing, and I think a few of us said in the chat that it wasn't working with Langstaff. I think we all knew why he started, in order to bring that energy, that aggressivity, is that the word? Aggressiveness or whatever up front. It didn't work out, and Alex could see the writing on the wall, I guess. So he went out, and there was a second substitution as well, wasn't there? Did Cundall come on half time as well?
Yeah.
I think he came on half time. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I know we look completely different. At least first 15, 20 minutes, we looked good. We looked on the front foot. We looked our usual selves, and we got the goal that we needed, I guess, to probably settle the crowd down, to settle the team down. A fantastic goal, by the way. If you look at it isolated, that is a fantastic cross, and the
100%.
execution on that it's going to be up there with, I wouldn't say, probably Caleb Taylor's going to get goal of the season, but it's up there. It's so difficult, that finish. So full credit to the lad, and he has done. He's done really well, because very, very difficult execution there. And then of course we get the sending off, which I never thought was going to be a red card, and I still don't think it was a red card. And of course it changes the game. And what we can say about Alex Neil.
So just to clarify, sorry mate, just to clarify, so he's miles away from the goal area. He's running away from the goal. He's got Cooper alongside him, as well as the other defender coming back. And you don't think that was a red card?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. It takes, first of all, I don't think he even touches him, but it's difficult because we don't get VAR to sort of double check. I don't think. And secondly, it's not the ref who calls it, as far as I believe. It's the linesman. The ref hesitates. Then suddenly I think the linesman waves his flag. And the ref is, I have to give something. He gives a free kick. And then I think he feels obligated to also give him the red card. So I think the whole thing was just one big circus. And I never, and he, as you said, he takes a touch and he wants to get in front of the guy, which, any striker would do. But he takes a touch towards the corner flag. And even if he were to get a shot in, it would be 25 yards out. It's never a clear goal scoring opportunity. But I think Benjamin Bloom touched it in terms of the actual written rules and how they are interpreted and all this BS sort of. But if you look at it isolated, and again, I'm a Millwall supporter, so of course I would never, I would probably argue it's not a red card. I just don't think it is. I think it's, at most, it's a free kick and maybe a yellow card. Or he barely touches him. And as you say, you got two defenders, catching up on him as well. So it's not like he's one-on-one with Patterson anyway. So no, I don't. After watching it back on the extended highlights, which was suffering enough by itself, I don't think it was.
Can I just come in there before we talk about the goal and second half? But because I want to come back to something, but if I may, but on that, the subjectiveness and how it's interpreted, it's a shocking decision. It's never ever a red card. We all know that, but this is where I have a little bit of a problem, not with that decision, not with the Femi decision, but the decision to not give a corner when Camille Negley shoots and it goes, because that's what led to the decision. And the reason why I say that is that's the worst decision of the three. And people are going to go, what are you talking about? But it's the worst decision of the three, because the Femi one is subjective. I actually think it might have been touched outside the area, so it would have been a free kick rather than a penalty. It's a foul, but it's subjective. The ref and the linesman make that decision on what they think they see, as they do with Zach Sturge. It's what they think they see, so they make a judgment call on that. But there is nothing you can say about a goalkeeper tipping the ball past the post. There is nothing subjective about that. It's a corner. That's clear and obvious. You don't have to be thinking, is he last man? Is it inside the box? Is it outside the box? It's clear and obvious that the keeper makes a save. Now, I know people will say that no Millwall player appealed for a decision.
Why didn't they, Stato? That was weird, wasn't it? I
have no idea, but that's the only decision where there is a clear and obvious answer that is in the rules. The Sturge one, first glance, look, it's wrong, and I'm not defending the ref at all. First glance, you could go, he's last man, but they're trained and they're supposed to be in a position where they say that to get that wrong. They obviously got it wrong, but in the blink of the moment, they have to make that judgment call, and that's what's given. Now, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right, but giving a throw in or a corner it is clear and obvious. And if that decision is given as a corner, we don't go down to 10 men because the ball doesn't go up the other end.
But look,
can I just say,
I am not. Go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah, no, just playing devil's advocate here, because the game is so fast paced. It is a really good attack, by the way, down the right hand. We switch it to the left, and it's a good shot he gets in. I just guess when you come from behind as a ref and you look at it, and I think he just gets his fingertips to it, doesn't it? I think it's difficult to see if it changes angle. And I'm not defending the ref here. I'm just saying that sometimes these fingertips, does it hit a toe? Does it, it can be very difficult to
sorry, Steve.
Stephen, Negley turns around and runs back. He doesn't even that.
I get that.
He can't have seen it either. He can't
get
see
that.
And I'm not defending the ref at all. As you say, he should give that.
But playing devil's advocate again in reply to that, the angle from behind in the away end, the referee cannot see. He cannot see Zach Sturge. He is blocked by a Millwall player or the Blackburn player, right? So it's up to the linesman. Then the linesman's clearly made that decision, right?
You think so?
But because on Millwall comms, Carl Bates turns around and says the referee's blown it away. Oh no, he's given a decision, and then all of a sudden it's a red card. That decision was made by the linesman. The ref wasn't going to give anything, which makes it arguably worse.
I did see him look towards the lino, but didn't look like, and they have mics, don't they? Didn't
they do have the mics.
Any indication? So,
but it's
my argument on that, Jones, is just to jump in. Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even flag the linesman. The linesman doesn't flag, so he can't have given it, because he would have been the first one doing that. He hasn't even flagged. Even to the point, when sometimes there's a delay when the linesman and the ref are sort of looking at each other, and then he doesn't even flag when the Blackburn player's on the floor, so he can't have made that decision.
Well, that may well be
Ben,
the
that
case.
That just makes the delay even worse then, from the referee's point of view, because why are you delaying? And then suddenly, hang on, I need to do something here, but no, there's no one who's giving me any indication that something is wrong.
But that's my point. Go back and watch it again. The linesman doesn't. He stops, so he can't even think it's a foul, let alone anything. He doesn't even. Sorry, he just whacked my microphone. He doesn't do anything.
Though they can talk, Ben, can't they?
But he would flag disco.
No, I don't think they bother though. Didn't we have this earlier in the season where they don't? They talk. When Femi got sent off. He didn't flag. We said, why didn't he flag? They don't flag. They talk.
Yeah, there's a comment that says the system won't flag now. He will talk on comms. Yeah. My point is regardless of who gives the decision, the ref and the linesman, they are supposed to be watching the game. They are supposed to make decisions on everything. That's what their job is. Now, the corner, I get that the Millwall players don't appeal for it, but it's still a decision that needs to be made. To me, that's the frustrating one, because there's is he last man? Is he in the box? Is it this? Is it that? There's no other factors that go into it. The keeper makes a save. If that's given, we're probably still 1-0 up. And just before that, and going on to the changes, we should have been 4-0 up by the time that Zach Sturge was sent off, because Cooper's free header that he jumped too early, Barry Bannon hit a chance which, if he'd have connected with it any better, he probably scores. Kundle scores a good goal, and Negley, I think, probably will be disappointed. I know the keeper saved it, but I think he probably could have gone the other way. So the changes worked. We were done by not getting a corner and then a stupid red card. And it's people talk about the refs from Durham, the refs this, that, and the other. He's done a video where he's been at Borough's training ground doing a course and this, that, and the other.
He's a Borough fan, mate. He's a Borough. I'm having that. He's a Borough fan, 100%.
That sort of thing. He can support bloody,
and he's a lesbian.
Whoever he was, I don't give a monkeys. Ultimately, we've been absolutely robbed. Absolutely robbed. 100%. And it's just an absolute shambles. It really is.
Just on the corner as well, Jones. Yeah. The video that Blackburn put out on their Twitter or one of the Blackburn pods or whatever fan sites, whoever it was from Blackburn, said, we hadn't seen that he'd made the save. It was the only angle where you can see him make the save is the one where he's behind the post, like ends in diagonal. Like the ref is behind Negley when he takes the shot, and all the other angles they show the shot from, I can't. But it's so hard to get that.
That's true. That's true, but Blackburn did. It was Blackburn that posted it. They're taking the piss because they know exactly what they're doing with that.
I get that, but my point of just
the ref
it's so hard to see.
But the ref was in the face to the red card. The ref is behind Millwall. He cannot see Sturgis. So it's the same thing.
I know, no, I'm not
Ben, don't. I know, but
let me slightly change it. Let me slightly change. So the red card, Ben. Let me come to you. Interesting. I was going to say Jesper. Then you didn't do the analysis show, did you, Jesper? It was Angelo did the analysis show. You do a lot, Jesper. You didn't do that one. But Angelo's analysis. He was talking about the other two red cards, very similar. The Sheffield United ridiculous decision, and I actually thought the Hull decision was ridiculous as well, albeit on Sky apparently they reckoned it was a red. God knows how. Do you feel there was some element of the refs have been told to clamp down on these, a chance on goal issues, and we've just become a victim of that, Ben, at the weekend, seeing as there was 3? Was it just a coincidence?
Yeah, I would say there could be an argument for that, but he's not through on goal. He's got 2 defenders near. Like he's not clearly through on goal, and it's not like one defender's chasing him. Coops is parallel, if not in front of him, by the time like Sturgis touched him. So there could be an argument for that, mate. I'm just talking about the standard of officiating. It's just fucking abysmal, isn't it? And like we're seeing the decisions not only for us on Saturday. You said the Sheffield United one. Horrendous. Hull, horrendous. Like, it's just, we're in the second tier of the biggest league or biggest country in the world in terms of football. And referees are making these bad, like, these decisions and getting them wrong. The penalty or the penalty shout, I'm with Jonesy. I think he actually makes contact outside the box. But what I would love to ask the linesman and the ref in that situation is, what benefit does Femi Aziz have if he hasn't been touched to going down?
Correct.
What would be his incentive there when he's beating the defender and can now get a cross in the box that he needs to go down? But like that's what I would love to ask him and find out what what their answer would be to that.
And
do you think, Ben?
Sorry, Stephen, and let me say there is no way the ref or linesman have looked at that and said it's not in the box. I mean, they've not even given a free kick. So they're not. So that could easily have and should have been given as a penalty, even though it was officially outside on review. You'd give every single one of us watching that live penalty. Nailed on penalty.
How far is the edge of the 18-yard box to the sideline? 10 yards? So the linesman is 10 yards away
right
from
there.
that. There's no obstruction, and he hasn't even flagged. It doesn't look like he's even interested. It is that. I don't want to say it's the worst one, but like the level of officiating across the board is just so shit. It's just painful.
Do you think though, Ben? And again, this is a question, and this is a question for the chat and for you guys. Do you not think that if Femi tried, he got up, didn't he? He got up to try and put the ball across, and Ivanovic tries to get a topo, and it's not an excuse. But do you reckon that under any circumstances, if Aziz stayed on the floor, do you think we would have got that? Do you think him getting up makes a difference?
50-50.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. Maybe, but it doesn't even look like they're even like. There's not even 1% of them that even thinks it's a foul. That's the thing, mate. That's what makes me think like it doesn't matter what he would have done. He could have broke his leg, and he would have just been like, no foul. Like they're not even interested in it, are they? Do you know what I mean? They're just that's the thing that this. Oh, mate, it just that was the one that sent my head west out of all of them, to be honest, because it's just it's such a bad decision, and you're not even. The ref, the sending off, you can go, yeah, he's not in line, he hasn't seen it. So if the lino has consulted with him, maybe, but the lino hasn't consulted with him according to Alex Neil's interview. So how has the ref come to that decision? The linesman being 10 yards away and not seeing that as a foul. It's
shocking.
So bad.
Can I just say as well, there's a few comments in the chat about the Gavin Ward rumour. There was a post about Gavin Ward being the ref for the Middlesbrough game. There's a couple of people saying that he is the ref. The appointments for the Middlesbrough game haven't been made yet. They're not on the EFL website. So people are taking the piss. They're trying to get rage bait. They're trying to get people worked up. There has been no appointment made for the Middlesbrough game. So before anyone starts spreading any rumours, I mean, now I've said this, he may well get given the game because we all know that the EFL would love to do that. But as of this point, no official has been appointed for the Middlesbrough game. And for Saturday, I believe it's Michael something. I can't think of his name because I looked it up earlier.
Salisbury.
Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah. I think that is. Oh, there's a comment in the chat. There you go.
I hadn't seen it. Yeah, it's Mark.
Oh, right. But yeah, so forget Gavin Ward and Borough because as it stands, that's not true for now. All right.
Here's a good question for everyone. I think Joseph's just put it in the chat. So I am by no means an advocate for VAR. I absolutely hate it. Obviously, it's not part of football at all. But would VAR have sorted it? Would Zach Sturridge's red card been overturned? Would we have got a penalty? So I'll chuck it out to you fellas.
I don't think we get a penalty, mate, because I think it's outside the box,
Correct.
which would have meant you don't get the decision. However,
foul, whatever. Yeah.
They don't do it for a free kick. However, they would have looked at it. They certainly would have looked at it. And now, Don, we ain't getting a red card. It live. I don't know which one of you boys said it, but what's his name on the Sky Sports thing? Is it Mike Dean said straight away that it's not a red card? So you work on that basis that it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been. I mean, we could talk about it till we're blue in the face. It's just not a red card, and Femi is fouled. It's just whether it's a penalty or not.
I'm really conscious, and I genuinely mean this. I can imagine Blackburn fans or neutral fans watching and saying, "Oh, fucking typical Millwall fans moaning because you've lost a game." You know, I think I saw somebody type on one of the shows, Diddums, you lost a game. No, it ain't about that. There was a huge injustice on Saturday. We all have bad decisions through a season. You know, there's offsides. I remember the goal at Bristol. Remember the equaliser when they were onside and it was given offside, I think. You know, and there's things like, but the red card was just horrendously, obviously not a red card. And then the penalty live was at least a free kick, but certainly I can't see many refs not giving a penalty for that because the intent, Femi had done him, hadn't he? He'd got round him into an attacking position and the guy took him out by falling over. Look, did Femi not help himself getting up and carrying on? 100% not. We could have still scored, actually, if luck had gone our way. But that shouldn't be the rule, should it? If you carry on playing, you don't get the foul. That's advantage, isn't it? And then, right, you didn't get the advantage. I'm giving the foul or the penalty, you know.
And we bang on about honesty as well, Disco. You can't be wanting all the players to be more honest and to sort of take diving out of the game and then go, well, Femi's been too honest there by staying down.
Correct. Agreed.
By trying to get back up, sorry.
Yeah. Agreed with you. So, look, a few more things to debate on that. Jesper, did Alex muck up with our formation after going down to 10 men?
Well, in hindsight, he did probably, but we have to also realize Alex Neil is not Gary Rowett. And I don't know if you can remember, because sometimes I don't want to remember how poorly we were under Gary Rowett and how defensively and how rigid and how boring we were. But Alex always wants to have an outlet, even if we go down to 10 men. And that will always be his game. And that's why I assume he stuck with 2 up front. You know, he wouldn't just park the bus because that's not what Alex does. That's not in his DNA. That's not how he plays football. So obviously in hindsight, going back to a 4-4-1, we could have maybe scraped through and got the win or got a point or whatever. But that's not how he plays. And had it worked out, had we got a point or had we got the win with 2 up front, people would have said that was a brilliant move. It was brilliant how we countered then and we didn't sit back. So it's one of them where you're like, well, you know, you can't always win. And Alex had said it himself, we will lose games. This is his mentality and I respect him for it. It didn't work out. And the goals we concede, I don't think it's down to system or anything. It's just we didn't deal with certain situations well enough. And it's a personal mistake that leads to the second goal as well, losing the ball, you know, in the middle of the pitch and suddenly they counter us, you know. So it's just one of them.
Do you not, though, Jesper? It's quite an interesting point that, you know, they'd have scored anyway. But do you think if we'd have played easy in hindsight, as you rightly say, and I want to come on to something on that, but 2 banks of 4, real solid bank of 4, would we have got caught for both of those goals, especially the second one? with Femi at the right hand side? Do you think we'd have got caught?
No, maybe not. It's just one of them where the thing is, like, we would have been pinned back, I would have assumed, and then we could have conceded. The thing is, when you get pinned back too much in a game and you stand there with 2 blocks of 4 and then 1 up front and you don't have an outlet, if they then go on to score to 1-1, you're not suddenly just turning your mode into attack, because you're standing there and then we'll just have another wave of attacks. We've seen it before, if you do concede, it's just, you can't just change your mentality and say, all right, now we're just going to go on the attack. That's what happened under Gary sometimes when we conceded. It was just, okay, well, we have to take the point because we're definitely not going to score in the other end now. So again, in hindsight, we could have done something different. But I just think that going forward, if this happens again, I think Alex would do something similar. He will look for an outlet. He will look to see, like, okay, I know we're down to 10, but we need to be able to also counter the other way. Otherwise, it's just going to be one wave after the other, which I don't think we can cope with. Also, our team is changing. It's not these hard-working horses we have in the team anymore. We've got good footballers now who wants to get on the ball. So I understand from that point of view that we just don't go back to a 4-4-1 rigid with 2 banks of 4.
Yeah. Good point, Jesper. Ben, coming to you, do you think, because actually leaving 2 up top initially worked in our favour? We made 2 or 3 really good chances, didn't we? If memory serves me right, including the penalty claim. Were we still 1-0 up then? I think it was 1-0, was it, or 2-1 then? 1-0.
I think it was 1-0.
1-0. Yeah. So keeping the 2 up top seemed to be working. Did that sort of work against us in terms of Alex potentially saying, hang on, let's get it a bit tighter here? And as you say, I think Jesper's said it perfectly. We've got the players, we've got the quality and the know-how to say, actually, leaving 2 up top puts them on the back foot and gives them something to think about. But do you think that eventually worked against us, Ben, or were we just unlucky?
I don't think it worked against us. I think more, if you actually look at our bench, what other options did we probably have? Because we didn't have many defensive. Well, we didn't have any other defensive options, right? We had, just having a look here, we had Ballo, Bangor Williams,
was the only one, wasn't he?
But, and Watson, who didn't come on, and we brought on Joe Bryan, Kundal, Ivanovic, Mazu Sakho, and Smallbone. So we haven't really got any sort of defensive players there apart from Joe Bryan and Del Boy. So I think that's more to do with it, mate. He probably was forced into a formation that he had to play or pick at that point because of the players that we had on the bench and available to him. Because otherwise, we would have been even more. We'd have been putting triangle pegs in square holes, wouldn't we? We wouldn't have about square in circle. So it would have been, I think it would have been really difficult to sort of do anything else than what he'd done. To be perfectly honest, mate.
Look, it's easy said in hindsight, and I'm not saying I was thinking it on the sidelines at the time, and then I'm not paid the money to do that. Could you have slotted a midfielder to fullback, maybe Billy particularly, who has played there in the past, long time ago, but has played there, and then bring a central midfielder on alongside Kundal and gone 2 banks of 4 as such? Is that crazy to think that? Or, well, it certainly was an option, wasn't it? But obviously wasn't thought about, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I think in that situation, you're probably just, as I say, you're probably just trying to pick as many players in as many natural positions as possible without trying to disrupt it too much. If you're chucking, I mean, when was the last time Billy even played fullback?
Yeah,
couldn't even tell you.
Long time.
Exactly.
Cutting at straws a bit. Yeah.
So, I don't know what more Alex Neil could have done, being honest, mate. Again, you look at the players that are available on the bench, you're asking players to play massively out of position.
Look, the reality is, I'll come to you, Stato. Look, the reality was he took Danny off and it worked, didn't it? It worked. We were one-way traffic after a little spell, start of the second half. We were one-way traffic, as you said, could have been 3 or 4 up. So it was working. But it then worked against us going down to 10 men, which he's not planning for that, is he? So
no.
What's your thoughts? Did we get the formation? Did he get the formation wrong at all in your mind?
Just before I answer that, there was a comment about how many teams have lost 6 times at home and been promoted from the Championship from Millwall Holdings. 4 teams have done it, but they've done it all through the playoffs. None of them have achieved automatic promotion. going back to the formation,
Jonesy, mate, before you do that, and I was just going to say on, I can't remember who asked the question. I think it was David Turner on the VAR in the playoffs. It's only in the final.
It is only in the final. Yeah, that's correct. The problem, I think, look, it's difficult because before the Sturridge red card, the formation change absolutely worked the treat. As I said, we could have been 4-0 up before that red card. So you have to say that we got it right to go in that shape. However, I actually think taking Danny off was probably the worst decision that Neil made on the day. I'm not criticising him, and I know why he did it. But Danny can play left back, he can play right back, and he can fill in at centre half. And by taking him off and not having that many defensive options on the bench, we were incredibly limited as to what we could end up doing. Joe Bryan, I actually thought did okay for considering he's not played that much football. I don't think he didn't do anything that was terrible, but we were so limited in what we could do, especially with the red card. We were playing players in odd positions, and Camille Negley, for all his work rate and effort, and I'm not knocking the guy whatsoever, but there was a spell where he won the ball back in our corner, come away with it, got us up the field, and was visibly shattered. His hands were on his knees. He was completely done. And at that point, he should have been taken off. I think if you look back at a couple of the goals, I think Negley, you can clearly see he's just tired. You know, the wing back role isn't really something he's used to doing. And I think perhaps Watson or Ballo could have been a viable option. But Neil took a gamble.
Sorry, mate, butting in on the Negley front, and I don't want to be start digging out players, but is it only me that sees with Negley? I know there's a lot of raving about at the minute about his work rate and his effort and his defensive duties. Has he got a bit of a habit of putting half-hearted challenges in? Sort of, he seems to me very often to try and make a defensive challenge, and it's a little bit not meant to be, but it becomes half-hearted, and he's sort of stretching a leg, and he doesn't quite get there, and often puts us in a bit of trouble as well. Is that, am I?
Yeah, I don't think he likes the tackle. I think he's willing to do the run in and put himself about a bit and get back and track back. But the actual tackle itself, I think you do sort of look at it and go, oh, I don't want to say he bottles it, but it looks like he bottles it because sometimes he doesn't go. He's not fully committed to the
technique,
to the tackle.
Like technique maybe of tackling, or defending. Yeah.
But I think Neil, clearly the change in shape worked, but you take a risk, especially knowing our injury record and knowing what was at stake in the game, regardless of red cards, regardless of dodgy decisions, whatever. When you've got no defensive cover, apart from a bloke that hasn't played since January, and you make the decision to go 3 at the back and ask Femi and Negley to play wing backs, you are running the risk that if something goes wrong, you're going to be left with players playing in positions that they don't want to, or we're really going to be struggling. Now, no one could account for the red card. No one would have expected a red card. Neil certainly wouldn't have been playing for it. But you're right, going to the 2 banks of 4. But realistically, who in God's earth would we have been playing at right back? And you'd have been asking Joe Bryan, who's not played any football since January, to be playing it. It left us a little bit short. I've gone the long-winded way about it. I think Neil made the right decision. 11v11.
Roy Keane would say he's doing his job in an American.
I get that.
Sorry, Mickey.
I get that.
Sorry, Mickey.
I get that. But you can't. I look at it and I go, without the red card, we go and win the game comfortably. We all know that. But we were towing the line with a massive, massive risk by doing what we did. And unfortunately, it cost us in the end. And it's not Neil's fault. I'm not blaming him whatsoever. But maybe if you had a Taylor on the bench or another centre-back or Leonard or someone that could have come in, you might have been able to have a little bit more flexibility and we might have been able to cover it a bit. But unfortunately...
But that would have been my question, Stephen, because I would assume that Lenny and Taylor were still out injured or at least being rested for this particular game. So if we didn't have these options, Alfie, Caleb, Lenny, Wes has gone to Plymouth, Kamal Grant is injured. Did we even have other options than Joe, for defensive duties? I mean, then you're looking at the under-21s, which is also a risk bringing these players in who's never played a senior game of football before. So what are your options? I think maybe his hands were quite tight in terms of what defensive options do I even have apart from Joe Bryan in this game? And I think Alex is a little bit of a gambler. You know, what he did at Hull, for instance, you know, putting a striker on when we were actually pinned back, you know, and it worked in our favor. This time it didn't, you know, and it could have easily, as you said, we could have been 2-3, 4-0 up. He didn't, you know, account for a red card. Obviously, you know, the chances of you getting a red card in the game are not very big. Unfortunately, we did get one, so it worked against us. But I think that's just the type of person Alex is. So I think it was a combination of limited options and then, you know, his gambling going against him this time.
I get that, and I understand the argument we didn't have anybody else. But in that scenario, then why would we at half time? Why would you take off the one player that can play in 3 separate defensive positions, right back, centre back, or left back? I'm not saying Danny McNamara is a world beater, but he's the utility man that, like Leonard, that could play in a number of positions. I get we wanted to get Kundalan and Ivanovic and change the system up a little bit, but we could have changed. Like, for example, we've all been talking about how Barry Bannon didn't work on Saturday. There was other ways of getting those players in and on the pitch and changing us up a little bit without taking off someone. Even obviously Crammer can play in a number of positions. You wouldn't have taken him off because he was playing at centre back. I just think that if we run the risk, you're right, Neil's a gambler, and I think he's brave and brilliant for it. But sometimes a calculated option, leave Danny McNamara on the pitch and make a different change so you've got cover just in case you need it. And I think it just kind of backfired a little bit.
Let me just a quick one on that, Stephen, because I do want to move on to something else or similar. But did you think that when they ran out for second half, did you think that's a bad decision? I would have kept Danny on and taken Sturge off, maybe, or
I think personally, as soon as I saw we were going 3 at the back, I was absolutely petrified. Now, for 15 minutes, I was for 15 minutes. Don't get me wrong; it was absolutely brilliant because we created 4 big chances. But as soon as you saw who was going off and we were going 3-4-3, I said it to my dad and cut the people around me, thinking, why are we going 3 at the back? What is the purpose? Why are we doing this? And you know, what do I know? We'd have had 11.
Just Danny's versatility, you'd have felt, it wasn't even Danny at the time. I wasn't even thinking at the time. It's in hindsight. But the 3 at the back, you were running the risk of what if something happens, and unfortunately the what if did. Okay, good point. Well, listen, look, bit of a point there from the real truth. Thanks for that. Let me ask you guys collectively, jump in. Forget formations, forget players available. Should we have done better? Should we be better where we are right now to be able to hold on to a lead or a draw against a poor Blackburn side? I don't think that was as poor as some of you are saying, actually. I think they were too bad. There's not a lot of difference in this league. But, you know, on paper, a poor Blackburn side. And for a little while, they ran us ragged, let's be honest, you know, once it went to 10 men. So should we have done collectively better as a team? What do you think, guys?
No way to answer that.
Just the tumbleweed just went past on the past there. And
I think it's a tough one to answer that, Disco. And my opinion on that is, and I know people are going to go, but so did Blackburn. We've had 3 tough games on the spin. A lot of players have played a lot of minutes now in key positions. And again, I'm sure Blackburn have had that as well. So it's not an excuse, but I think should we have held on to a point? No. You always fancy a team with 10 men. Doesn't matter where they are in the league, unless probably the only team you fancy yourselves to hold on to against is Sheffield Wednesday. And that's where you've been harsh. But most of the time, when you're down to 10, you expect the other team to get something, don't you? But yeah, I just think it's a combination. Listen, there's a massive part of this as well, and Jesper said it earlier. We can't win every game. So, yeah, I don't think there's ever an expectation when you go down to 10 men. So there's a long-winded answer here of going down to 10 and expecting to hold on to anything, in my opinion.
Jesper?
I think I will just answer it slightly different. I think we should have been a lot better to begin with. I expect us to come out for the remaining 3 home games with something between our teeth now. We are challenging for promotion. We cannot go in with 0 shots on target in the first half with a full house. And I don't care if we play Blackburn, Wrexham, or whoever we play. That's simply not good enough, in my opinion. Then we can always discuss, should we have done this and this, should we have done that and that in order to hold on to a point. Overall, it wasn't a very good game from our point of view. And the hoodoo just continues, doesn't it? I think that would be my answer to it. It wasn't simply good enough, and we need to up our performances now for the remaining 8 games.
I think that's a good point, Jesper. To be fair, start the game better than talking about ending it. I just really do feel, though, I'd expect the team of players that we've got, squad of players, the manager, the quality, I would have expected us to be, and look, taking aside the bogey side of Blackburn, I'd expect us to be a bit tighter and harder to beat than I thought. It was just looked inevitable. And maybe that's nerves on the day. You just, they're going to score here. You just know they're going to score and then they're going to get a winner. But it had an inevitability about it, which I think if you turn the tables, when other teams go to 10 men against us, do I feel, we're going to run them ragged here? Not sure I do. So I feel we need to learn to be better. Don't know, Stephen, whether you've anything to add on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Whenever a team gets down to 10 men, apart from Birmingham a few weeks ago, it had already scored 3 goals at that point, and the game is kind of done. I never think it ever works. It never works in our favour. You always don't want the ref to give a red card sometimes because you know that how it works. I thought we were unlucky. We were just unlucky that, as I said, we made the gamble with the change of shape, and then to lose a player, you have to completely reshape the team. I thought we were unlucky in that sense. We did actually hang on for 20 minutes before they scored, after the red card. They tried their best.
Yeah, at first.
They tried their best. So you would have taken a point. But I think as soon as Blackburn got the goal, I think it was inevitable that they were going to go on to win the game at that point. Our players kind of just looked, not broken, that's probably a bit unfair, but they just looked as if the wind had been taken from them. And it was just a case of, would Blackburn create another big chance? And they did.
We'll call it the Blackburn curse as well. Stato, any? Can you look at that? Do you know that?
I did answer that earlier. As I say, 4 teams have done it. 4 teams have done it, having been lost 6 games at home, but all of them have done it during the playoffs. I did. Let me just see if I've still got the link on here. I think the last team to do it were Forest a few years ago. I'll double check that. But obviously, I think just on that point, and this is maybe a general discussion for you guys as well in the chat. The league this year isn't as strong as what it might have been in other years. We all know that the league has been very, very funny. So I think the number of points to get into the playoffs, the number of points to win the league might not be as high as what they've been in recent. Look, no team's going to get 100 points, are they? Like what happened last year. So I think that does come into it somewhat, but automatic's not out yet. Even with those amount of defeats, it's not out of it, and I think that's got to be the message. We're not done yet. We're not.
But I think in recent years, Stephen, if I'm not mistaken, 68, 69 points was enough to get you into the playoffs. I believe Bristol City last year was only 68 as well. So we've had a few seasons where we had a few teams running away with the league. Your Sheffield United, Burnley, Leeds, and then you've had other teams competing for the remaining spots. So it's also the difference in levels. I wouldn't necessarily agree that the league was stronger. We just had a few teams who were just a level above compared to this year. I still think it's a very, very strong league. It's just more competitive this year. I guess it depends on how you look at it. There are more teams, there are more spots up for grabs, I guess.
I think the way to look at that, and again, I don't want to do us a disservice because we're talking about us here, but if you'd have said at the beginning of the season, and I know Wrexham is a bit of an anomaly because you never knew how they were going to go, but Hull, Wrexham and Millwall have always been the bridesmaid, and we're never fancied or anything. Hull can't spend any money on any players really. They're all their transfers are freebies and loans and whatnot. And Wrexham were the unknown quantity. They had a League One squad. Obviously, they spent money, I know, but if you'd have said that those 3 at this stage would have been in the position that they are, and teams like Sheffield United would be floundering mid-table, Norwich with the start that they had, Leicester and West Brom in the relegation zone, I think the league, it's potentially the year of an underdog, somewhat, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's a weak league. I'm just saying that I think that it's an anomaly that the bigger teams, apart from the obvious, like your Ipswich and Coventry, have struggled somewhat.
Yeah.
But then you go back a few years and you had Luton who went up. I don't think anyone fancied them to go
well,
up.
No,
So
it does happen.
There's always one or two surprises, right? And if you look at the league, I would say 3/4 out of the teams in the league, they've been in the Premiership for the last 20, 25 years. So there's always an odd one that goes up, have a season, have 2 seasons, then they go back down. Maybe they come back up later on, or they remain in the Championship, or they go even further down to League One. So it can happen. Let's see.
Yeah. Listen, let's get it right, and we're going to come on to it. We are still in this Championship race, and it was a really good point from Angelo again on his analysis show that much as I felt we could have hung on a little bit better than we did to at least get a draw, if not win it. Look, was it worth taking the gamble to get 3 points versus none or one? With Borough only getting that draw. It gave us the option to roll the dice, if you like, a little bit. So I think that's a fair shout. We're all saying Alex likes to roll the dice, and was it worth it? Yeah, 3 points would have been huge versus maybe one. Would it have made 1 point? I might regret saying that at the end of the season, but you get my point, I think.
On the flip side of that, Disco, could you imagine, had we have done that, the backlash that we would have given him as fans if we'd have sort of settled for a point? There's that argument to it as well, mate. So
I don't think I'd have had a backlash, to be honest, Ben. But yeah, there could have been a
maybe not on saying you directly, but I just mean in general, the fans.
General,
I think if we had of gone into that game knowing the results prior and sort of gone, we'll settle for a point here, it's not a bad point. I think you're always going to look at it and go, despite our record against Blackburn, a home game against a side that, albeit they are fighting for their lives, but are generally struggling, you're going to want to go and win the game, aren't you?
Yeah, good shout.
And let's face it. I mean, 1 win and 1 loss is better than 2 draws. That was perfect Gary Rowett tactic. Sit back, get a point. But then again, I'd rather take this than, we gamble a little bit and then sometimes we win something.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yes, but let me ask you, don't always like to talk about the opposition, do we? But you as our European expert correspondent over there, this Jorgensen, who the bloody hell is he? He did look lively, I hate to say. And he's scored 6 or 7 goals for them since he signed at Christmas or New Year? Who the hell is he?
Yeah, I didn't even know him, to be fair. So I was just looking here. So he's apparently come from the European surprise this year, Bordeaux Glimt, who's, I think they're on the way out now, actually, in the Champions League, losing 4-0 in Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah.
And then he played in Denmark before, but in the second best league. So, yeah, I don't know, actually. But what I've noticed from Blackburn squad, I think they have had quite a few Scandinavian players. I think they have a defender and a midfielder. They didn't play in the weekend. So they have a knack of picking up these players in Scandinavia. And this seems to be a very good signing for them. Yes, I do apologize that it was... Sorry?
Is he a midfielder or a striker?
No, I think he's a striker / right winger. I think I watched the game against Preston. It looked more he was playing on the right side as an attacking right winger. So I think he's a sort of a hybrid between striker and winger. So
they were
he looked good.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, looked deep. Yeah, he did.
Looked a good sign. Made a real impact from the bench, and certainly as a signing in the summer. Talking about that, guys, signings. Did we miss a trick in view of all this in the January window? Should we have brought another defender in?
I mean, we said it at Hull, didn't we? We were all sort of, for a few games, we're going, God forbid Kramer gets a booking because he's going to be out with a suspension. We're looking now, we go through it. Yes, we went through the players earlier. We are looking a bit light now at the back, aren't we? Because if, again, God forbid something does happen to Coots or Kramer, what happens then? If something happens to Danny, what happens then? So I know these are all if, buts and maybes, but I still cannot get away from the fact we hadn't signed the right back. I know, again, we're going to say we had Lenny there, we had Danny coming back, we had Kramer that could play there, but Danny's come back from a long-term injury. Kramer was never going to be his long-term position. I don't care what anyone says, don't care how good he's been. That was never going to be his long-term position. Then you're potentially going into it with just Lenny. Lenny is great, but he's also aging, and we know he can't play week in, week out. He's not without his injury issues. So I will never get. I can't get away from us not signing the right back, mate.
All I would say is, as of who did we play after Sheffield United? I think it was Wrexham, wasn't it? Wrexham was the first game after the transfer window closed. If you'd have said then, what were we short of? Everyone would have said another centre forward. Everybody, literally everyone was talking about we're a striker light, we're a striker light, we're a striker light. I agree with Ben that the right back position, if Crammer was always going to move over to centre back, I think had Taylor not got injured, he would have been stuck out there still. But to not bring in any defensive cover, especially after letting Kamal go, I know he's got injured subsequently and Wes Harding as well. But to not bring in any defender, and I'd still argue a forward, I still think we could potentially have done with another one, is looking a little bit of a ropey decision. I mean, on Saturday, we could be surprised Doughty and Taylor could come back into the squad and all of a sudden we look healthy again. But if they don't, you're massively struggling.
Yeah.
I think he is looking forward. I mean, Alex was looking a little bit forward to Ipswich and Borough, which is like 2 games in 3 weeks. He wanted them as fresh as possible. So Taylor could potentially maybe have been on the bench, didn't want to risk him, say, like, I think we can get through this game with these players. So hopefully these are not major injuries to Alfie and Lenny and Caleb. But, you know, when you look at it Saturday, we did look a bit light. But as someone also mentioned, would you have signed a £1 million right back, knowing you had Tristan ready, you had Caleb, you had Coops, you had, you know, would you have signed one to sit on the bench then? Because he wouldn't have played when Caleb and Kramer and Cooper is injured. But I get your point, Ben, because I was in the same boat as you. I said I wanted a right back, you know, a full back who can really bump forward, and we need that in the summer as well. But I think prioritizing other positions was maybe the difference here. Everyone was screaming for a striker, and everyone said we needed a new winger, which we got in Tommy Watson. Maybe the central midfielder position with Bannon was a little bit surprised to me in terms of how many we actually have in there. But no, when you look at it now, yeah, we look thin. But then again, you also have to say, like, okay, do we expect 3 or 4 injuries in these positions all the time? So it's just, yeah, it's a tricky one, I think.
We certainly look a lot better, don't we, when we've got a fullish squad, even have 1 or 2 missing. But when we get these 3, 4, 5 go, it really does seem to hit us. I sort of want to finish on the Blackburn game, unless you guys want to add anything before we finish. But I do want to just take, John, I saved this message earlier. I think Angelo did this on this analysis. Pretty sure Femi was miles onside, mate. I know there was a lot of talk from Blackburn that he was offside. But for me, never in a million years. I don't know if anybody else, unless I've missed the part of the build-up to that, but the bit where they froze the screen several times, he was miles on, unless we have a crooked cut of our pitch as well. But I think he was well onside, mate. Right, I want to ask a question, and I want to ask a question to you guys, and I want in the chat people to put their comments. Is there, in line with this comment, is there an FA conspiracy to stop Millwall from getting promoted? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Let's go round. Start with you, Jesper. What do you think?
I'm not going to jump on the whole FA bandwagon just yet. You know, we've been in the same league as West Ham a few times before, even you know, when I've been a supporter. So if it happens, it happens. And I think that if quality shines through and we're good enough to go up, we will go up. I don't think, you know, when you look at the referee Saturday, yeah, he was poor, but how many other times this season have we been sitting here discussing a ref that much? You know, we've had poor referees. I think if we're good enough, and then we will go up. I don't think that there is a conspiracy there. I also think the whole fan aspect between West Ham and Millwall probably have changed over the years. We haven't played each other for a long time, but I don't know if you open that kettle of fish, how things will look today and how the atmosphere would be and the fans amongst you. I don't know, but no, I don't think so.
So no from you. Number 2, yeah. 2 is no. Ben, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something really funny to say, but I couldn't. Listen, we all like to think there is. I just think, as I said earlier, mate, the standard of officiating across the board is horrific, right? We see it week in, week out with the Premier League even with all the help and VAR, everything they've got in the world, they still get it wrong week in, week out. What's happened to our song we always sing? We always get shit refs. It's been like it for years, mate. I just think it's just getting worse, right? Yeah, I think the standard of officiating is as bad as I could ever remember it, mate. I think it is just down to that.
So you're a 2, yeah? You're a 2, no conspiracy.
A two, mate. As much as I'd like to think there is one, I'll go with a 2.
It's a good pub debate, but I do love. There's a few ones coming in. My mate Jeff Cook straight in there with a 1. 100%. There's a conspiracy. Bless him. He'll be going bananas at home in Wigan now. Go on, Stephen. What do you think?
It's really difficult because do I think the FA want Millwall to get promoted to the Premier League? Absolutely not. They don't. Let's be honest. I think there's a lot of the footballing world and supporters and people that would want to see Millwall get promoted to the Premier League. So I think that you do have to curb it with that. But I don't think there's necessarily a conspiracy. I think Ben is right. The standard of officiating. I mean, let's be honest. A couple of weeks ago, we were all talking about the goal that Hull scored that was disallowed. And let's be honest, it shouldn't have been disallowed. I know we benefited, we go on to win the game. So you have to sort of say that there are decisions that go either way. You mentioned Bristol City, the goal that was onside, but it was given offside. But I don't think there's a conspiracy. However, I would be very, very interested to get to a scenario at Wembley where Millwall are 1-0 up at Wembley. The ball comes into our box and there is a penalty review at VAR for a foul by Jake Cooper. Because I guarantee you, after him being mauled for 46 games in the season, they give a penalty against him. And that's that's the only thing I would say. Or it's 1-0 to the opposition and Jake Cooper gets pulled down in the box. Do we get a penalty? And that would be where you would know where the debate lies. Because with VAR, Cooper a couple of weeks ago against Derby would have nailed on penalty. Everyone, a blind man, Stevie Wonder would have given it. But would VAR give it when Millwall were on the cusp of the Premier League?
But Stephen, when was the game when, because he does have it in his locker, Cooper, when was it that he deliberately pulled the guy to the ground? In the box?
Absolutely.
It was so obvious. He's just like,
listen.
It
was Stoke away. When we drew, it was an absolutely ridiculous decision. I'm not saying Cooper is hard done by all the time, because there are times where we have got away with decisions. But the question about the FA and VAR and things like that, if Jake Cooper is fouled, if we make it to Wembley and he is fouled in the box, does it go to VAR? Does it really? Will that go? It should go to VAR, but will it? That's the question.
I think when you have VAR and if it's not being challenged and there are so many obvious decisions in the game, let's say the championship final, and it's not being reviewed, there will be a lot of questions afterwards because it will be shown again and again, said, why didn't it go to Stanley Park? Why didn't they review this? There will be so many questions and it wouldn't matter.
I'll tell you why, Jesper.
Coventry, Sheffield United, people will start asking questions that why didn't you review any of these incidents if that were to be the case?
It'd be because there's a lion on their badge, mate. That's why it won't go to Stanley Park. That'd be the reason, I tell you.
So look,
I'm just saying it can only be so many incidents before you start thinking it's corrupt. I know.
We had we've got 213, according to me, viewers at the minute, and I don't know how the likes are going tonight, guys. Are we looking decent on likes? Just out of interest,
I think we're up to 10 now.
10.
I don't know.
10. Oh dear, I'm going home. I'm going home with my ball if that's the case. Dear me, come on, guys.
51.
Still a little bit poor, and we didn't set a target tonight, but give us a bit of love, guys. It's all going to charity. Don't forget, this all goes to cancer research, which I'm going to ask Stephen to do us a little bit of an update on in a minute. But just to finish off that topic, look, it is interesting. Online, you get a lot more. There's an FA conspiracy. They don't want us in the Premiership, and it's never going to happen. It's interesting. I think we got more not a conspiracies tonight. Jeff was quite loud with his number one, most definitely. My view on it is, don't think there's a conspiracy. We just suffer with referees that come down to the den to our games with a predetermined, I am not going to get intimidated by Millwall and their fans, and I am going to dictate what happens. And as a result, we get poor decisions. And I think that was an element of that on Saturday, as well as the fact that he's a Borough fan.
Last thing on the officiating, Disco, as well. And someone did say it earlier. It was the first thing that I said to my dad. The biggest disappointment about everything that happened on Saturday was that the ref made it out there alive. Because 15 years ago, we'd have been on the pitch chasing him. Someone would have thrown a bottle at him. And I'm not an advocate for violence, by the way, people, but we should have chased him out the ground. And if they want to talk about intimidating environments, all that sort of thing, the old Millwall, he wouldn't have made it out alive. So that was the only disappointing thing from my perspective.
Was it when we lost 6-0 to Birmingham? They pulled the tunnel all the way out to the pitch back then. I think he gave 2 red cards, and the team got a standing ovation. And we lost 6-0 or something. Yeah, he was not popular, that guy.
You're right. There were the days they wouldn't have put up with that, Ben. But I suppose in this modern day and era of this woke environment, we probably shouldn't advocate anything like that, obviously. But
all opinions are my own and not of the podcast.
Absolutely. Love that. Well done, mate. Right, at this stage, Stephen, if you don't mind, if I could just ask you to give us a bit of your great intro there about the current situation with cancer research donations for the pod, but can you give us an update on the charity day, etc., for the benefit of people watching?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would have seen by now that the 6th of April is the Chat with Chaps fundraiser day, the day of the game where we play Norwich at home, Easter Monday, I believe it is. We've got loads of stuff going on. All of the guys behind the scenes are putting together some really, really cool bits and pieces. As Ben announced last week, we've got some really, really good prizes, both in a raffle and an auction. Loads of stuff, Millwall memorabilia, Millwall shirts, you name it. We've managed to find them, and we, everything is really, really exciting. What I would say is there are still some surprises that are not quite out there yet, so keep your eyes peeled. Chris has put a link to having a t-shirt, the Chat with Chaps t-shirt. You can also get video messages from a couple of old players. You can even get a video message off of Ben. I have pre-ordered my one from Ben, so make sure you get your orders in there.
If anyone mentions anything to do with Idemar Maku, I'm not doing it. Just FYI.
But yeah, the t-shirts are £25. The Chat with Chaps. There we go. The Chat with Chaps t-shirts are £25. There are signed versions from the first team squad that I believe are £50. They're all on the No One Likes Us website. The club have been amazing. They've let us use the old Roaring logo. As I said earlier, the podcast has raised over £35,000 for charity, including gift aid. So, we get that, there's a lot of fundraisers. We ask a lot of the listeners in terms of donations and things, but everything we do, everything you do, you're sharing, you're liking, commenting, subscribing, everything has contributed to that figure. And I'm sure that everybody in the chat as of today, I'm sure the 4 of us that are sitting here know someone or have been impacted by cancer at some time in their life, whether it be that someone's been successful in fighting it off or sadly lost a loved one or a friend. So thank you for the support with it. Look out for the 6th of April. I think yes, but obviously being our European correspondent may not be able to make it on the day, but us 3, me, Ben and Disco will be there on the 6th, along with Joe, Bex, Chris, Angelo, you name it, we'll all be there. So make sure you bring your change. And
even Paul's making an appearance.
Yeah, even Paul. Yeah, Paul will be there as well. We've got other helpers on the day, but guys, honestly, the support we get across the board. Ben and I were at an away game a couple of weeks ago. People coming up to us, I'm sure Disco's had the same. Chris, Joe, people give us a lot of support with this and show us a lot of love, and we really, really do appreciate it. And as I say, 35k for cancer research for little old Millwall. We get a bad reputation. They may not want us in the Premier League, but we're still doing our bit for charity. So yeah, it's really, really good, Disco. It's a great time to be involved. be involved with this. And there's a comment that's just come through. Idemo wants a birthday message from Ben.
I'm amazed it's taken anyone that long after my comment about Idemo saying I thought someone would come straight in and be like, I'm going to get him to say he's the best player in the world or something.
That's
and it's for charity.
Money,
I was about to say it's for charity. Do you know what? I'll do that.
You don't know what I'm asking you to say yet, mate. So you
don't know what I'm going to respond to you.
But no, on a serious note, as Chris is speaking on behalf of Chris. When Chris started this, I'm pretty sure he had a vision in mind to raise some money for charity, and he didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen. And to get to this stage, we thanks guys, because we really appreciate all the support with what you show us week in, week out.
100%. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, spot on, mate. And looking forward to that. And please keep liking and subscribing on here. That all, for no cost to you at all, does help with the algorithm. All helps the money come in, guys. It's amazing. More likes, more comments, more subscriptions, certainly all helps with more money coming into the charity, which is hugely welcome. I think we're done with Blackburn, guys, are we? Any other comments, or should we draw a line and move on?
Yeah, move on, please.
Very good therapy session, thank you.
Oh, do we feel better? Have we got it out of our system a bit? Have we managed to a little bit offload?
No.
No.
I'm still raging.
Yes.
I must admit, I'm delighted to see a little bit less red in Jesper's cheeks there after Saturday. I think he was absolutely raging, as we all were.
I was.
Time is a great healer, guys, and look, we need to look forward, which we're going to do in a minute. But before we do that, look, a bit of a serious subject, actually. I think it would be wrong of us not to cover it off tonight. There's been some really bad news of a little bit of online hate towards Zach Sturge, racially driven, which is obviously appalling. Look, I think quite an not unprecedented, but quite an interesting step by the club to actually, make a point of calling it out. And good on them for doing so and supporting Zach accordingly. Just wanted to go around you guys and ask your views on the situation, guys, individually. Let's start with you, Stato, this time. What's your thoughts?
They're not Millwall, the people that have decided to message Zach. They're not Millwall. I think it's been established that they're from different countries. I think one's Belgium. I don't know the other one off the top of my. I can't remember what the other one was.
Mexico, I think, mate.
Mexico, yeah.
Mexico. So they're not Millwall fans. There's a culture, isn't there? They've said that it's about that people have been gambling on us and betting on us and take out their frustration on a player that gets sent off or misses a chance. Yeah. Or whether or not, I don't know how true that is, but that's typically what tends to happen in these sorts of scenario. But there's no place for it. Zach Sturge was applauded off on Saturday. I was there. I know you guys were watching it, but he was applauded off the pitch. He was absolutely gutted that he was sent off. So I just think no place for it. He's one of us, and of course we as a podcast and all of us guys and Bex and I'm sure the listeners are well behind Zach, and he knows that, and I'm sure the club know that it's two faceless people from abroad that clearly haven't got anything better to do.
Yeah, well said, mate. Well said indeed. Jesper, anything to add to that?
I can only echo what Stephen said there. It's got no place in modern day society. Unfortunately, that is probably some of the flip side of social media as well, and being able to hide behind certain accounts so you can do this sort of abuse online, which I do not condone at all. And I feel sorry for Zach having to go through that. He doesn't deserve that. And let's all remind ourselves that even though we are heavily emotionally invested in all this, it's football. It's not life and death, although it can seem like that sometimes. So it's just sad, really. And as Stephen said, this is not what Millwall's about. This is not proper Millwall supporters. So just sad to see, really.
Yeah, and look, really, really, I think really nice for the club to come out. Probably half of them don't want to really come out and give give these idiots airtime in a way, but I suppose it's done in a way to really support Zach more than anything, isn't it? You know, and show a bit of solidarity towards him, no doubt. Ben, any thoughts?
I don't think there's anything more to add, mate. Not Millwall fans don't represent us and our love for our players, no matter what colour they are. It doesn't matter. We love our players. And yeah, hopefully Zach knows it has absolutely nothing to do with true Millwall fans and our view towards him in any way, shape or form. So yeah, I hope he's okay and hasn't been affected by it too much. As Jesper said, listen, these people that are tweeting behind faceless accounts abroad and think it's okay to abuse players, it's just not. So yeah, thoughts are with Zach, his family, and yeah, hopefully it hasn't affected him too much.
Yeah, well said, mate. Absolutely. And look, I think the balance there is as well. Look, in this modern day era of young footballers where look, money's no object, and they're probably, you know, they're the way they act and the way they are, their personalities can be hugely tarnished with being spoilt by money and fame. I don't know the guy, but Zach comes across as a real decent lad, doesn't he? You know, he just looks like a guy who wants to come play football, generally with a smile on his face. Still got a lot to learn in the game, but you know, I think we're very lucky to have him in our team and squad right now. So I agree with all the comments coming in. You know, we stand with you, Zach, and just understand. I think he must know that's not true Millwall fans. No, not a chance of that, and we hope it hasn't affected him at all. So look, our best wishes go to Zach and his family, and I'm sure he'll get a great round of applause. Hopefully, as he's asked here, is the red card? Yes, I think is the answer to that, isn't it? The appeal has gone in, and I initially wasn't very confident, but I do think we will. If you look at the rules, we have got a very, very strong case. So I would imagine we will, you know, win that appeal, and it'll be available on Saturday. But if we're not, it's only a one game ban, but it could be doubled, couldn't it? If you appeal and it's deemed the appeal was null and void as such. Before we move on to Saturday's game, sorry, bear with me while oh cracky, where am I? Sorry, have we appealed? Let me come off that. Let me just, I think some of you may have seen, why is that doing that? Why is that still showing? Have we appealed? Hide. Right, sorry, bear with me. Right, here we go. Before we move on. Well said, Mark. I love that. Let's get that telegram off to Trump as we speak. That would be very welcome, Ron. Mind you, it's only up the road from me, so I might have to be bloody careful. But no, very, very apt and funny that. I like that. Good stuff. Right, guys, let's look forward. Let's look forward to Saturday. So, massive game. I tell you, there's a lot of talk of the Borough game. With the greatest respect, forget the Borough game. This is the game right now. Ipswich ahead of us. Huge game. Mixed results there in previous years, good and bad, I'd say. Tough game without a shadow of a doubt. Jesper, give us your thoughts on what you expect from the game, and two, injury-wise, any thoughts on who may or may not be back available, etc.?
I think injury-wise, we'll see two players back. I don't know who it's going to be, but out of Casper, Alfie, Caleb, and Lenny, I think two of them will be back. I think one of them will start for sure. I think Alex has looked forward to this game before the Blackburn game. I thought, okay, who do I not want to risk in this game? Because I want to play them at Portman Road. I think it's going to be. I think it will be a very competitive game. I don't think it will be a high-scoring game. I look at the Ipswich side, which is clearly very talented, but I don't look at this Ipswich side the same way I did when they went up 2 years ago, when they were free scoring and they were, I wouldn't say unbeatable, but they came with an aura, a way of playing that they were just scoring for fun. I remember we went to Portman Road, we'd already lost after 20 minutes. I mean, we were being hammered, and I think we lost 4-0 at home as well to them. I don't see the same sort of side. I still think they're very organized. They haven't conceded a lot of goals. But what I also would say is like it's the old West Bromwich defense, and they do have weaknesses down there, especially Kipre. I look at him as the weak link in that defense. So I think we have a chance. It's a very exciting game to go into. I mean, let's face it, we are 2 points off automatic promotion. We are playing these 6-pointers now against Borough and Ipswich. It's just exciting. We need to be excited about this and not nervy. If we do end up in the playoffs and we don't go up automatically, which is a good chance we don't, then so be it. But let's give it a crack. We go to Portman Road, and I'm sure Alex will say to the players, we're not going there to get a point. We're going there to win. And they might have only lost one, but they did lose 3-0 to Charlton at home. So who knows? Maybe we can go there and upset them again. So I think it's going to be very close. And I think we have a good chance, but we need some of the players back, I think, in order to get a positive result. So I really hope that two of our defenders, whoever it might be, will be in contention for that game. I would have loved to see.
Any guess who you think it would be? I know it would be a guess, but any guess?
I think Lenny and Caleb would be my best guesses for the defense, and I would love to see Kasper back for this game. I think it's just suited for him to run the midfield with Billy in there. So I just fingers crossed that his problem is not a severe one, but let's see come Saturday. So I think it's going to be very close. Right now, it's difficult for me to predict the result, but I think we'll give them a right go, and it's going to be fine margins deciding the game.
And any views, if we play the formation, any views on the 10? Who you'd play in the 10?
The 10 that you love?
We'd have a 10, don't we?
Dreaded 10.
You get my point, yeah.
I know. I'll have to think about that. Just bear with me for a second, then I'll come back to that one.
Okay, 100% going to be Langstaff.
Yeah, are you in that camp? And would you, Ben? Is that Alex's choice or your choice or both?
I think it will be Alex Neil's choice. I've spoken about it a few times on the lives now, Disco, haven't I? I think he sets a tone for us defensively, which I think Alex Neil likes, and certainly away from home, certainly against a side that are going to have more of the ball than us. I think it's just natural he's going to play there. I think it's a certainty, unless he's got an injury or not. I think he's 100% starting.
Yeah. And any other thoughts on any injured players coming back? Any guesses? They would only be guesses, mate. I haven't heard anything on anyone being back. We can only take what Alex Neil said in his pressers, right? So it doesn't seem like the guys are that far away. I would be worried about. I mean, there was at times against Hull that Liam Miller terrorised Danny, I thought. And they've got the fella from Bristol City, Mehmeti, that I think plays out on the left wing for them. So he's going to give Danny a tough game. So wouldn't mind Lenny back, just from a personal preference. Would like to see Kasper back, just because I think, again, we need to be as combative. Is that the word I'm looking for? Yes,
one of those.
Yeah, well said.
One of those words in midfield. I think we're going to need, just a real solid performance. If we can perform anywhere like we did against Birmingham, I'm confident against anyone. If we perform like we have done in the last 3 games, I know we've won 2 of those, then there's going to be alarm bells, right? It's going to be tough. Jesper said it as well. Their home form is unbelievable. Last time they lost was against Charlton in October of 25. They just churn out wins at home. They've only actually dropped points in 3 other games. They've won every other game at home this season. So they are clearly very strong. I also echo Jesper's sentiment. We need to be looking forward to these games now as a side. We are at the top of the league. We've got to believe in ourselves. Some of our performances this year, again, I'll go back to the Birmingham one, mate. We were excellent. We absolutely destroyed them. And we've got to take that sort of view in games. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We're going to be the underdog in most of these games, but we've got to look forward to them. We've got to embrace them as a club. The players have got to embrace them. And I might get a bit of stick for this, but they're almost, the next 2 games, they're free hits almost. They're not in our hands. So going there and being afraid of losing, it doesn't really matter. The playoff places are almost, we've said we're 1,000 to 1 on, right? They're cemented. So let's go there. Let's have a right go at these sides and see if we can pull off the unthinkable, because it will be the unthinkable. But yeah, we can't go into these games with any sort of doubt or negativity. Let's just have a right go against Ipswich and Borough. And sorry, I've spoken for quite a while there.
No, listen, well said. Like it. Just out of interest, do we know if you mentioned Mehmeti playing for them? Is Philogene fit for them right now? Does anybody know? Is it Philogene? It is Philogene.
I think he is fit. Yeah, I think he is fit.
He's the one that worries me big time. I mean, obviously they got a Clark as well.
I don't know on that stat. I'm just having a look here. Yeah, he didn't play against Leicester in the last game. And he wasn't on the bench. He was on the missing players. So
that would be handy if he's out, because he is lively. I mean, look, they've got the team. Their left winger's out, isn't he, as well? Left fullback. Sorry.
He came on Saturday. Sorry, this guy. He came on Saturday for the last 17 minutes against Ipswich.
Fucking hell, Ben.
So it looks like, sorry. I don't know why I looked at the Leicester game there. Sorry, completely my fault.
So he's not fully fit, hopefully.
Not fully fit, but he's on his way back. Typical.
He does worry me, that fella. He's a bit lively. But look, you got to beat. If you're going to beat, you're going to beat the best. So, Stephen, what's your thoughts?
Well, we haven't lost back-to-back games for a considerable amount of time. And you go to Ipswich on Saturday and you kind of look at it and you go, that is under threat. We have to accept that they're very, very good. They're going for automatic promotion. However, I'm channeling my inner Ben Green here. I have never been more convinced that we go to Portman Road and get a result after Saturday, because I reckon the players are going to be they'll be right up for it Saturday. After what's gone on and the reaction that they've had. Millwall lose a game, people get a lot of stick, people kick off. The fans are right behind the players, because everyone's kind of accepted the ref. We've been discussing it for an hour and 50 minutes that the players, I don't think the players maybe cover themselves in glory, but we probably would have gone on to win the game. And I think they'll use that. And I've got it in my head. I've never been more convinced we go to Ipswich and win. Wow. I'm just convinced. I'm convinced, and I never usually say that. And I know that my dad, who will probably be watching this, is probably shaking his head, going, "Shut up! What are you talking about?" But I'm just convinced that I'm just convinced we go there and win the game. It'd be tight, but I think the formation and players coming back piece. I think Saturday would have taught Neil a lesson that perhaps we do need. If Taylor has been held back for whatever reason, or Leonard's close, one of them will be back on the bench to give us some form of defensive reinforcement, especially depending on the result of Sturge. If Sturge comes back in, it might change it a little bit. If he is still suspended, they're going to have to put someone on the bench, so we've got someone that can cover at the back. I agree with Ben. I think Macaulay Langstaff will start. I don't agree with it, but I think he will. And yeah, I think, as I say, I think we go there and win the game.
Oh, that's brilliant. Great to hear. God, you're inspiring me right now, Stato. I love it. Listen, it's not an easy ground. But like you say, look, there's opportunities to, go there with huge confidence. Our away form is phenomenal. And other than the kicking the balls at the weekend, we should go there with confidence, shouldn't we? With everything to gain, as you rightly say, Ben, in a way there. I'm just a bit worried about these players coming back, as you talk about, and people saying maybe they've been held back. But wouldn't a couple of them have been on the bench at least Saturday if that was the case, do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say earlier when you were saying about it and sort of saying about keeping them fit. Surely it would have been better off if they are nearly fit, for the exact instance that I can't talk tonight. The exact scenario that happened on Saturday. If we had Taylor on the bench, we could have changed formation, and it wouldn't have been, as I said earlier, triangle pegs in square holes, right? We would have had that cover on the bench at least if they are ready. So that's my only concern there. Certainly with Taylor, Lenny maybe a bit differently, Alfie a bit different, Casper again a little bit different. The Taylor one. I mean, I know I said we hadn't heard too much about when he's back, but I have heard rumours that he's potentially out for the rest of the season as well. So, yeah. They are only rumours, by the way, before I send everyone west. They are only, it is only rumours. So, but yeah, I think if they are nearly there, they would have been on the bench, is just my opinion.
It look, as you say, you don't want to start wicked rumours or get everybody bloody gutted. But it is a strange one, the Taylor, isn't it? It was as if it was nothing or minor. Then it's all gone quiet. And
it always worries me, Disco, when they don't say anything. When the club don't mention him, or that always panics me. With everyone else, we've sort of heard snippets. Taylor's the only one we've not heard anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think if it is a severe one, they do come out. I mean, when Coburn got injured, they did say this was going to be. It did take a few weeks, but they did eventually say that it will be, in 26 that he will come back. I would assume if it was season defining, they would come out and say he's not going to play more this year. Keeping it quiet and he's not going to play for the remaining of the games would seem strange to me. I hope I'm wrong. Or I hope I'm right in this case. Sorry, Ben. But it does seem odd that they just keep quiet with the Taylor one for sure.
There was a Taylor in the game today, wasn't there? And was hoping it was Caleb, but it wasn't, was it? I think it was one of the reserves, wasn't it? One of the youngsters.
I think it was Harry, yeah.
Yeah. So a bit of a shame. But Jesper, if we go with a 10 or a pressing 10, who would you have you thought about that yet?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think if Kasper plays, which I don't know if he does, or I think we're just going to sit in with two midfielders with a good engine. So if Kasper, I don't know. I don't know. My mind is just wandering here. I could maybe a Masusako Billy as sort of the two holding, and then I could see. I'm sorry to say, I could see Bannon or Smallbone in that position as well. I think we're going to need a good engine in midfield, but we're going to need good ball players as well. I know what Langstaff brings, and I know what Langstaff can bring in terms of his energy, etc. I just think we need something different at Portman Road because we're really, really up against a really good side, and we need to be able to play some good football there. So I think, yeah.
What about Kundal? Jesper, is Kundal?
Yeah, good shout. Good shout could be as well. Instead of Masasako, maybe Billy and Luke in there, and then Smallbone or Bannon up in the 10, as you say. Yeah,
Smallbone's a good
shout. And then Neckley and Femi on the side.
He doesn't look fit to me, does he, Smallbone? Don't really
look
fit yet.
He's building up fitness, I guess, So he's probably Bannon in that case more than Smallbone.
Yeah, I think I'd rather Kundal in there than Bannon. Look, easy in hindsight. I think Kundal should have had a shot in the 10 role on Saturday, especially the way that we played, because we didn't seem to press them in the first half, did we? So going back to that. But I'm not sure he'll put him in Saturday, Kundal. But his record's been great, hasn't it, recently? And what a goal, as we said, Saturday, So I'm with you guys, though. I think Langstaff starts 100% Saturday, and we will press the life out of them, to try and stop them from, playing out from the back and getting ahead of steam as such. But look, we'll have to trust in Alex. I am hugely positive now listening to Stato's positivity there. So can't wait for that on Saturday. Early kickoff, not the best. I think Borough early again as well. Am I right in saying? Is it Borough?
Yeah,
got an early
I think
one.
they are. Yeah. I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of interesting games on again, most definitely. So in the chat as well, guys. Please put in what we're going for, score predictions and goal scorers if there are any goals. So who should we start with? Let's start with you, Stato. What are you going for? Mr. Positive, what's your scoreline?
2-1, Femi and Ivanovic.
Ooh, like it. Good point. Femi is going to want to have a great game, isn't he, as they were after him at in January. So he's going to want to go and really show them what they missed out on, isn't he? I'd say, yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's even just a case of that. I think Aziz, he got the assist, didn't he? The other for the goal, which is obviously excellent. Another goal contribution. I just think, I know we keep going back to Aziz. Maybe there'll be something in the Ipswich thing, but I've just got it in my mind that signing off to the break with a Femi goal.
Yeah, nice one. Like that, Stephen. So 2-1, love it. Jesper?
Yeah, I mean, Stevie just stole my result. I'm going to say 2-1, but I'm going to go with Coburn and Cooper to get the goals in a very nervy 2-1 win, I'm going to have to say.
Yeah, not half, but take that, wouldn't you? Absolutely take that. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Ben, what you thinking?
Mr. Jeffrey Cook is it the nail on the head, mate. 2-1, Femi and Coburn. Lamppost is going to score the winner late on.
I'm loving this positivity to finish the pod on. This is brilliant. Fantastic. I'll be honest, for me, my head, probably a draw, which I don't think is a terrible result, with an Aziz equaliser. Or I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to go positive and say a nice little cheeky 2-1 with Aziz. And I'm going to go the Serb. I'm going to go Aziz and the Serb to score. So, and wouldn't that be a great result? That would be a real statement result, most definitely. Lots of different scores coming in. A lot of 2-1s, actually. A couple of 1-1s along the way. And a 1-0 like that one there from Flacky. 1-0 with a... Christ, I don't think my heart could take that. But it would certainly be a great way to celebrate the weekend. Most definitely. So, right. Well, look, on that fine note, guys, we've just hit 2 hours. So Joe will be shaking in his boots that we've hit the 2-hour mark. So, look, lots to talk about. It was always going to be a long show tonight, especially after my 20-minute introduction. so we're going to wrap it up there. But look, before we do a quickly round robin, guys, last few comments from you guys before we finish up. So, Jesper, want to kick us off?
First and foremost, thank you to this anonymous company who's donated this week. It's absolutely fantastic. Well done to everyone involved with the podcast. I think it just shows you what a tremendous, I wouldn't say job, but contribution everyone is doing. So very thankful. And to all fans, get behind the team. Let's enjoy these last 8 games. We're in a fantastic position. If anyone said to you before the season, with 8 games to go, you're going to be 2 points behind second, going into the last 8 games, challenging for automatic promotion. Don't tell me anyone would have said, no, that's not good enough. So be excited. Try and be excited. Bring the noise to the Den. There are 3 games remaining at the Den only, maybe 4. Let's see where we end up in the table. But get behind the team. This is the time now for... as I said, get behind them, really support, bring the noise, be excited. Let's see where we end up and be positive for Saturday.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Jesper. And thanks for coming on, mate. As always, brilliant input and some great comments there at the end. Ben?
As I said earlier, mate, let's try and embrace it. Fans, players, the club, everyone associated to Millwall. We're in a great position. Let's just go into the next, we say 2 games, but really the next 4 games, I think is going to define, well, it goes without saying, the next 2 games are definitely going to define it, but I think the next 4, let's just try and embrace it. And, hopefully the players go into Saturday with no fear. And if we do, who knows? Because, listen, we've said it a million times, this is a very special group of players that we've got. They do always seem to bounce back after a disappointing result. So hopefully... they go into Saturday with that mentality, and as I say, let's just try and embrace it and enjoy it for the rest of the season.
Brilliant, yeah, spot on, Ben. Great words, mate. Totally agree. Are you going, Ben?
Not Saturday, no.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I thought you were going to go, weren't you, at one point?
I was trying.
Yeah, Stato, you're going, aren't you?
Sadly, I'm actually away on holiday this weekend.
Sorry, I thought you're sorry, mate.
I've sadly, it was. I had to choose a weekend about 3 or 4 months ago. Just decided on this one, and it's now sod's law that Ipswich have come along, and it's a big game. So sadly, not. It is on that questionnaire. It is live on Sky, but it is also being shown on ITV. For anybody that didn't know that, yeah, the game is also on ITV this weekend. I actually think it's ITV1, mate. I think they have an agreement to show a certain amount of championship games a season, and ITV have requested this one as well as Sky. So if you don't want to listen to Don Goodman and Joby McAnuff slag us off for 2 hours coverage, just put on ITV instead.
ITV4 and ITVX.
Good advice,
there
I
you
think,
go. There you go.
Stephen. Yeah, definitely. Somebody said Foul News before. I tend to go on that a lot, but it bloody cuts out all the time. And the commentary, you often get the away team's commentary, so it does me head in. So that'd be great to have it on Sky or ITV. Thanks for that, Stato. So, yeah, any final thoughts, Stato?
Not really. As I say, I'm incredibly positive about Saturday. As Jesper said, the donation has obviously spurred us on a little bit behind the scenes with all the charitable contribution that has been donated. It's amazing to be part of, and we all appreciate the support that we get. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Just attack the game, and we go into the break. We'll take stock. Our players hopefully will be back. What will be. I think Ben said we're 1,000 to 1 on, or whatever it was, to make the playoffs. And if it is the playoffs, it's not a disappointment. I think that's the key message. It's not a disappointment, but go for that top 2, give it everything, and who knows what will happen. But as I say, clip this if you like. Going to Portman Road on Saturday, and we're winning the game.
Brilliant. Love that. Thanks, Stephen. And listen, I can't top that, so I'm just going to say thanks to everybody for sticking with us. Look, if you are watching and you're watching it back, especially if you're Blackburn fans as well, please like and subscribe. Even if you think we're talking bullshit, doesn't matter. Everything we do goes to charity.
Plenty do tonight, mate. Plenty think you are talking bullshit. You've upset a lot.
I've got a bit of a fan club going on here, Ben. Don't worry about it. If it brings us in a few more views and a few more likes and subscribes, that's great. But no, please put some comments in, like, subscribe. Everything we do goes to charity. Thanks for all listening. Thanks for letting us get it off our chest tonight and go positive into the weekend like Stato, and hopefully looking forward to a nice 3 points. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Good night and bye for now. Oh, and I need to do the exit, don't I? Oh, no. How do we do the exit? Yes, so, where's the...
This is for the blooper reel.
So, anyway... we're going to have to go now. End of stream is what we need to do now. So,
another 2 hours.
Good night, everybody, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.